All right, good morning, guys. Surprise. I'm the teacher that tested positive for COVID. Not sure how that happened, but I'm very thankful that I'm not sick and I don't have any symptoms, and I'm just missing not being there with you today, and getting ready to, start a new marking period. So as you guys know, the marking period is ended. I will be returning papers to you, but obviously not this week because state of Delaware says I have to stay home. So bear with me as those people who substitute for me, and the videos that I put out, I will do my best and they will do their best to meet your needs. But that being said, I know that we had discussed that our next chapter was writing a persuasive letter, a persuasive business letter. I think that's a little hard to teach long distance, so we're going to move that to the side, and we're going to go ahead and jump to chapter 4, and I will go back to chapter 3 once I am off quarantine, and then we can work on that business letter together. So I want everybody to go ahead and turn in your books to page 81, and we're going to get back into a grammar lesson. And this time our chapter is going to be about verbs. We're going to start out and we're going to review about what an action verb and what a linking verb is. So we all know that a sentence is a group of words that has a subject and has a predicate, and it expresses a complete thought. Back at chapter 1, we started identifying what our complete subject was. That complete subject was a noun plus its describing words. The little red beetle car. Okay, that would be my complete subject. The, little, and red are describing words, and then the main word of my complete subject is my simple subject, car. Then we also identified the predicate, and that tells you what the subject is doing or being in a sentence. And we talked about the fact that we have two different kinds of verbs. And as you can see on the screen right now, I have two sentences. One is Devin plays hockey and he was my neighbor. In the first sentence, you have a action verb, plays, and then in the second sentence, we have was, which we identified as a linking verb. And we said that a linking verb needs to connect another noun or a describing word back to the subject. And so you see here that neighbor renames the pronoun he. Who is he? He's my neighbor. So I'm going to flip over to this page, which is what you should be looking at the top. And let's just go over the yellow section together. It says a verb is the main word in the predicate part of a sentence, and it tells what the subject does or is. An action verb tells what the subject does. Then below that you see a simple diagram, which we've already done before, where we have, in this instance, the example is the hockey player glided toward the goal. And player is our subject. The and hockey are describing words. And glided is what the hockey player did. And toward the goal would be a prepositional phrase. So glided would be our verb. So in the simple diagram example, they give you player glided. Now, the new step we're going to take is how to diagram those words that rename or describe a subject when we have a sentence with a linking verb. Okay, so going down to the next paragraph, it says a linking verb tells what the subject is by linking the subject to a noun or an adjective. Now, an adjective is the official word for describing words. So it's called an adjective. And because that noun or that adjective comes in the predicate part of the sentence, which means it comes after the verb, we call them a predicate noun or a predicate adjective. And so you see where a predicate noun renames the subject and a predicate adjective describes the subject. Now, look down below that. We have two examples. We have, I'm going to say Kaylee is a hockey player. And in this case, you have Kaylee is the simple subject. Is your linking verb. And what word is renaming Kaylee? It's player. So notice at the diagram, okay, we have now our diagram line is longer and we have enough space for 3 words. So we have Kaylee and we have the dividing line. Then we have is in the verb section. And now we have a third section, and that is for the predicate noun or predicate adjective. Now, the most important thing, and I want you to see my arrow up here on the screen, I want you to see that this line that divides the predicate noun is slanted. And it is slanted because it's going back to Kaylee. So you have player going back to Kaylee. So this line right here kind of serves as a pointer saying, hey, this word refers back here. This is very important. When you come to diagram a sentence in which a linking verb is linking the subject to another word that either renames it or describes it, you have to have this slanted diagonal line on your diagram or it's going to cost you points. Why is it important? Because remember in last chapter I told you that a noun can either be a subject or it can be an object. And we said that there were 3 objects in a sentence. Well, in the coming lessons, we're going to learn how to diagram those objects. And those objects will also go on this line, but the line that separates it from the verb will be different. So, sentences with linking verbs, when they are diagrammed, must have that diagonal line that shows that the predicate noun or the predicate adjective is going back to the subject. Okay, so your second example says the players are excited. So you have excited as a describing word. It's an adjective. So you have players in the simple subject spot, are in the simple verb spot, and then excited because that is a predicate adjective and it goes back. All right, let's finish our section. And it says a diagram of a sentence shows how the word in the sentence relate to each other. On the diagrams, notice how the slanted line points the predicate noun or predicate adjective back to the subject. And the next sentence is another point that we reviewed. Remember we said that not only is our linking verbs am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, but we also have those sensory words that can, they could be an action, but they could also be linking. And the way we know is whether or not the subject of the sentence can actually do the action of that word. So if we said the cake smells delicious, we know that a cake doesn't have a nose, it can't smell. So that means that smell in that sentence would be linking delicious back to cake. So the sensory words again are smell, taste, look, sound, and feel. And they can be used as linking verbs. And that means you have to put your thinking caps on. You need to read your sentence carefully and ask yourself, is this renaming Is this linking a word that's going to rename the subject, or is the subject actually doing this action? So you have some examples here. The players look at the referee. Well, obviously players would refer to people, and people have eyes, so they can actually do the action of look at the referee. Then you have the fans look cold, and you can see where cold refers back to fans, and it's not an action in that sentence. And then the last thing it says, these forms of the verb be are often used as linking verbs. Am, is, are, was, and were. And we already know that because we went over it before. In the little blue circle below that, it says the verbs seem and appear can also be used as linking verbs. So I would put those up there with the sensory words, seem and appear. So keep those in mind with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you work on pages 81 and 82. And when you are done, Mrs. Flippo is going to start another video in which we go over the answers, and then she will hand out your homework sheet for the night. All right, guys, I will be back in just a few minutes.